It's not hard to understand why the public gravitates towards stories of unsolved murder. We want to see justice served for victims and their families. We want to know that our communities are safe, and we need to ensure that law enforcement is properly investigating these crimes to the best of their abilities. But beyond these completely rational concerns, for many of us, there also exists a similarly strong attraction to the pure sense of mystery in these cases. The less they make sense, the more we are driven to look for answers, and the intrigue can often give way to a minor obsession with discovering the truth. Today, we wanted to take a look at a few cases that evoke this kind of mystery, focusing on a handful of unsolved murder cases that bring out our inner armchair detective. There are, of course, no shortage of cases that could have made this list, but as always, these are just a few that stood out to us. Before we get to our list, don't forget to subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. With that out of the way, here is our list of 5 unsolved murder cases that will keep you up at night. On February 13, 2017, 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German were dropped off near a trailhead in Delphi, Indiana. The day was unseasonably warm, and the friends had planned to hike at a spot close to the abandoned Manon High Bridge on the Delphi Historic Trails. They set off around 1:30 in the afternoon, taking their phones with them and planning to meet Libby's father at a predetermined pickup location 2 hours later. When the girls failed to show up, their parents began to grow concerned, fearing that they had gotten lost or hurt and weren't properly dressed for the weather after dark. When a search initiated by family and friends failed to turn up the girls, the police were called. Sadly, the body of the 2 girls were discovered just a day later, around half a mile east of the abandoned bridge, in the undergrowth on a remote trail. Though police did not release any details related to the cause of death, it was clear the girls had been murdered. Further investigation revealed a chilling discovery. Libby had posted 2 photos to Snapchat shortly before the murders. One showed Abby in the foreground as they crossed the bridge, while the other was a shot of the bridge itself. But the most disturbing finding was a video saved to Libby's phone. The video showed a man several yards behind the girls, appearing to walk towards them. Before the end of the video, he can be heard saying just 4 words: "Guys, down the hill." The image of the man was widely circulated along with the audio, and he is still considered the prime suspect in the case. Police believe he may have also been the owner of a vehicle spotted abandoned on a nearby road between 12 and 5 p.m. on the day of the murders. Though many attempts have been made to identify this mysterious man, none have resulted in a positive identification or arrest in the case. On June 30th, 1999, a woman driving along a field road in St. Charles County, Missouri, found the body of 41-year-old Ricky McCormick. Despite not yet being reported missing, McCormick's body was already badly decomposed. As a result, the cause of death was unclear. The only clue appeared to be 2 notes in McCormick's pockets that seemed to be written in a mysterious code. The case only grew stranger from there. For starters, the cornfield where McCormick's body was discovered was over 20 miles from his home. He didn't own a vehicle, and the area wasn't serviced by public transit. Medical examiners also said they believed McCormick had only been dead for 3 days, a strange finding considering the condition of the body and the fact that the area had not experienced particularly warm weather recently. This meant McCormick's body had likely been stored elsewhere before being moved, leading police to treat the case as a homicide. Despite their best efforts, investigators were unable to decode the strange notes, and with relatively few other leads, the case soon went cold. After 12 years, the FBI released the notes to the public, as well as an appeal to help crack the meaning of the messages. Though there are multiple theories about the cryptic notes and who wrote them, most members of McCormick's family believe Ricky could not have been behind them. He was mostly illiterate and struggled with learning disabilities and mental health issues. This view is also shared by investigators in the case, who pointed out that the characters in the notes are not random, and that there appears to be several patterns to the text suggesting it can be solved. Today, the murder remains a mystery, and the notes are listed as one of the top unsolved cases of the FBI's Cryptanalysis and Racketeering Records Unit. In February of 1957, the body of a boy between the ages of 4 and 5 was discovered in some woods near Fox Chase, Philadelphia. The boy's body was wrapped in a plaid blanket and had been placed in a cardboard box that had once contained a bassinet sold by American retailer JCPenney. The body showed signs of malnourishment, as well as several surgical scars, and the cause of death appeared to be several blows to the head. Curiously, the boy's hands and feet were wrinkled, suggesting he had possibly been in water before his death. His esophagus also contained a dark substance that was thought to be vomit. The case understandably drew large amounts of attention and speculation, and the young victim came to be known both as the boy in the box and America's unknown child. In an attempt to determine the boy's identity, over 400,000 flyers were printed depicting his likeness, and were also included in every gas bill in Philadelphia. The police also distributed a post-mortem photograph of the boy fully clothed and in a seated position, in the hopes that this photo would more accurately capture how he might have looked while alive. Despite this effort, investigators were unable to discover the boy's identity, and tips leading to a possible suspect in the murder also came up short. As a result, the case soon went cold. Over the years, there have been many theories about who is behind the murder, but two in particular have been the subject of the most serious interest. The first theory concerns a foster home approximately 1.5 miles away from the location where the body was found. The home was visited in 1960 by a man named Remington Bristow, who had become obsessed with the case. Bristow was an employee of the medical examiner's office and decided to go to an estate sale at the address on the advice of a New Jersey psychic. At the sale, Bristow claimed to see a bassinet he believed could have come in the box that the young boy was found in. He also said he saw blankets similar to the ones the boy's body had been wrapped in. His theory was that the boy belonged to the stepdaughter of the man who ran the foster home, and that the pair had disposed of the young boy's body so that the girl wouldn't be exposed as an unwed mother. The second theory of the case is far more disturbing. In February of 2002, a woman identified only as M told police that her abusive mother had purchased the unknown boy from his birth parents in the summer of 1954. She claimed that for approximately 2.5 years, the boy had been subjected to extreme abuse. This abuse had ultimately led to the boy's death, when during a bath one night he had vomited, sending M's mother into a rage. These details were taken seriously by police as they explained the boy's wrinkled hands and feet as well as his stomach contents, though M's story could never be verified. Ultimately, neither theory could provide conclusive evidence of a perpetrator, nor did they lead to a positive identification of the boy. To this day, the boy in the box remains one of Philadelphia's most enduring unsolved murder cases. On the morning of July 11, 1996, the body of Blair Adams was found in the parking lot of an under-construction hotel outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. The 31-year-old Canadian man was found naked from the waist down, with his pants, shoes, and socks lying near his body. Scattered around him was $4,000 worth of Canadian, American, and German currency. At the scene, police also found a fanny pack containing gold and platinum coins, jewelry, and a duffel bag full of maps and travel receipts. Adams had died from a severe blow to the stomach, possibly from a crowbar or club, and also appeared to have wounds from fending off an attacker. However, even more bizarre than the crime scene itself were reports that emerged about Blair's behavior in the days leading up to his murder. According to his friends and family, Adams had been having trouble sleeping and was experiencing mood swings. He was also convinced that somebody was trying to kill him, but would offer no further details to those around him. Just a few days before his death, Adams took all of the money out of his savings account, along with thousands of dollars worth of precious metals. On July 7th, he attempted to cross the border into the United States, but was turned away since his unusual behavior and quantity of cash fit the profile of a drug trafficker. The next day, he showed up at his construction job and quit, then drove to the airport and bought a round-trip airline ticket from Vancouver to Frankfurt, Germany. Instead of boarding the flight the following day, he turned in his ticket, rented a car, and again headed for the US border, this time successfully crossing into Seattle. From there, he bought a one-way ticket to Washington, D.C., leaving his rental car behind. After arriving in D.C., he rented another car and drove to Knoxville. Sometime after arriving there, he went to a nearby hotel. The manager of the hotel later said that Adams was acting nervously and walked in and out of the lobby 5 times before finally asking for a room. After checking in, Adams left the hotel, the last time he was ever seen alive. Almost every conceivable angle to the case turned up dead ends. A robbery was ruled out due to the amount of cash and valuables left at the scene. A possible sexual motive was also considered, but the only piece of DNA evidence found was a strand of long hair gripped in Adams's hand. To this day, the only person of interest in the case is a man that Adams was seen speaking to outside of a restaurant on the day of his death. Though a sketch of the suspect was released, the man has never been identified. On January 2nd, 1935, a man named Rowan T Owen checked into the hotel President in Kansas City, Missouri. He had a sizable scar on his head above his ear, wore a dark overcoat, and brought no bags with him. After asking for a room in the hotel's interior several floors up, he was led to room 1046, overlooking the hotel's courtyard. He unpacked a hairbrush, comb, and toothpaste, which appeared to be the extent of his belongings, and was given a key. This would be just the beginning of his strange behavior. Over the course of the next 2 days, one of the hotel maids named Mary Soptic visited Owen's room on several occasions. Each time, she found him sitting in the dark, with only a dim lamp for light. She would later describe Owen as looking worried about something. On one visit, she observed a note on the desk in the room, addressed to a man named Don. During another visit, she found the door of the room locked from the outside and was startled to find Owen still there, sitting in the dark as always. On her final trip to room 1046 on the afternoon of January 3rd, she heard the voices of 2 people behind the door, but was refused entry by a man who did not sound like Owen. She was confused by this at the time because she was doing towel delivery, and she knew that there were none in the room. Later that evening, there were several reports of strange activity on the 10th floor, though hotel staff attributed this mostly to a party that was happening in room 1055. It was the next morning when things took a dark turn. Around 7 a.m., one of the hotel's switchboard operators noticed that the phone in room 1046 was off its hook. When an employee went to investigate, he noticed a Do Not Disturb sign on Owen's door. After several loud knocks, he was finally told to enter, but found the door to be locked. The voice once again told him to enter and turn on the lights, but the door remained locked. Assuming Owen was drunk, the employee told him to put the phone back on the hook and return to the main floor. Another hotel employee came to the room with the key and put the phone back on the hook without turning on the lights. A short while later, it was noticed that the phone in room 1046 was again off its hook. However, this time when employees went to investigate, they received no response. Upon opening the door, they found Owen on his knees and elbows, his head covered in blood. He had been bound with a cord around his neck, wrists, and ankles, and appeared to have been both stabbed repeatedly and badly beaten. His clothes were also nowhere to be found. When asked who had done this to him, he first replied, "Nobody," and then said he had fallen in the bathtub. He lost consciousness a short time later and died in the hospital. When police began investigating the case, they could find no one by the name Rowan T Owen from the part of California the deceased man had claimed to be from. Suspecting this was in fact an alias, the police began circulating photos to try to establish an identity. Among the people who responded was a man named Robert Lane. Lane said that he had had a strange encounter with a man while driving the previous night. He had been approached by someone dressed only in an undershirt, pants, and shoes, who had asked for a ride to a place where he could get a taxi. Lane told the man to get in, and noticed that he appeared to be holding a wound on his arm. He told Lane that he planned to kill someone tomorrow. Lane told the police he believed the unknown man in the photo to be the person he had encountered. Despite this and several other leads in the case, police could not determine the deceased man's true identity. They also failed to track down the mysterious man named Don, mentioned in the note spotted by the hotel maid. Meanwhile, the unidentified body went unclaimed for over 2 months. When it was announced in the papers that the body was to be buried, however, the funeral home received a strange call. The caller asked that the body not be buried immediately, and promised that funds would soon be sent to cover the cost of a funeral. As promised, a delivery of cash wrapped in a newspaper soon arrived, as well as an anonymous flower arrangement. Along with the flowers came a card that read, "Love forever, Louise." The funeral home contacted the police, but once again, leads in the case dried up. Over a year later, it was eventually discovered that Owen's real name was Artemis Ogletree. His mother, Ruby, had been contacted by a friend who had read about the case and recognized Ogletree's picture. Ruby had been worried about her son for some time, and had not seen him since 1934. However, this would be the final mystery solved in the murder case. The identity of Dawn, Louise, and the mysterious caller, as well as any possible motive for Ogletree's murder, have never been found. That brings us to the end of our list. Are there any other unsolved murder cases you think we should cover? Let us know in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. Thank you for watching.